Hi, everybody. Welcome to our another ReaderCrate author interview. If we haven't met yet, my name is Alyssa Granlund, and I am the founder and the curator of ReaderCrate, where every month we send out a cozy mystery book box filled with great reads from wonderful authors, along with some really fun bookish goodies. We try to send out really cozy things that you'll enjoy. They're not always bookish, but there's always a theme. And so tonight we are continuing our celebration of our March Reader Crate, and our theme for that was Grounds for Suspicion. And so it was a coffee themed crate, and people loved it. It was super fun, and I am so excited because one of the featured authors from that crate is joining us tonight. So if you are watching live, go ahead and say hello in the comments. Tell us where you're tuning in from. And while people are hopping on, I'm going to tell you a little bit about tonight's author. So tonight we are talking with Kathy Manos Penn, and she is the author of the delightful Dickens and Christie Mystery Series. And her books are a classic cozy mystery set in kind of a charming English village in the Cotswolds, and featuring a clever amateur sleuth and then two unforgettable animals, companions, which we're going to hear about, a dog named Dickens and a cat named Christie. And her series follows Leta. We're going to find out if it's Leta, I think, Parker. And she's an American widow who moves to England to start a new life and then finds herself solving mysteries in her new village. So her first book in the series, Bells, Tales, and Murder, even won a Reader Favorite Gold Award. And Kathy has been nominated twice for Georgia Author of the Year. And I believe she lives in Sandy Springs, Georgia, when I was doing my sleuthing, with her husband and her real-life four-legged assistants. And we'll hear more about that, who help inspire the personalities of the animals in her book. So please help me welcome Kathy. Hey, Kathy.
Hey, you've got Kathy and you've got Puddin'. Puddin' is the inspiration for the cat in my book, albeit the cat is black. Puddin' is calico. So thank you. I'm happy to be here.
So glad you're here. Thanks for joining us. I know readers have been meeting your characters in your book this month in the crate. So now tonight we get to hear all about how your series came to life. So super fun.
Okay.
So let's start with something fun. Can you tell us a little bit about where you live and also maybe what a day in the life looks like for you as a writer?
Okay. I do live in Sandy Springs, Georgia. You got that right. It's one of the many suburbs that became a town in Georgia. That was a trend. Okay. So it's a suburb. And a day in the life. I have been retired for 10 years. And 2 or 3 years into that, I started writing. It was a bit of a fluke. But a day in the life is when I'm writing a book. Once I put my fingers to the typewriter or the keyboard, I try to write every day. And I write in the mornings after I've had my coffee and played words with friends. I have to, get myself going. Yes. Then I come up here to my office and I write. And I shoot for 1,000 words a day, which is probably 4 or 5 pages in a book. And recently I've cut myself some slack and said 500 will do, Kathy. After all, you're retired. You could relax a little bit. But then it takes me about 90 days. And so I'm up here writing and rewriting, and I look at what I wrote the day before and edit it, and then I start the next bit. And again, about 90 days to get it done enough to send it to my beta readers and then on to my editor.
Okay.
And then I take a break.
So is it a half day that you spend? Is it a full day?
It depends on the day. Mm-hmm. And you probably know this as a writer. There are some days that those 1,000 words come and I'm done by lunch. Yeah. And then there are other days that I go, you need to put off lunch a while and write a while longer, because I've discovered that it's really hard for me to come back after lunch and get my brain back in gear. But I do it some days. So,
yeah. Well, so you mentioned a couple times you're retired. So you spent time in corporate communications, is that right? Before?
Yeah, I was in banking for
Okay.
32 years, and I
Okay.
always say they never let me near the money. I think they discovered early on, I entered in human resources. They discovered early on that I knew where to put a comma. I think that was the real key. And I didn't like spreadsheets.
Yeah.
So, yes, I finally wound up in a job that had communications in the title, but I wrote everywhere I went. I did leadership training, which I thoroughly enjoyed. I wrote blogs, I wrote speeches, and the last maybe 6 or 7 years of my life, communications was actually my title. So
Okay.
that was fun. And believe it or not, it was good. It was a good experience as far, even though it had nothing to do with plots. So
Yeah.
I was used to writing.
Well, what inspired you to finally start writing cozy mysteries?
Well, that was the fluke part. I had on a lark, started writing a column a week for a small local paper. Just, they sounded like they needed somebody to go to bat for them. And I said, oh my God, you're my lifeline. And so I suggested I'd write columns, and I just enjoyed that. That was just a side job.
Okay.
And when I retired, I thought, well, I'll just put out a book of my columns and I'll sell it mostly locally. And that's what I did. Put out a little book written by my dog, which may in fact have led to the fact that Dickens and Christie speak.
Okay.
And I was working with a woman about maybe formatting another book, and she said, you know, this is fun, but, I don't know that it's going to go anywhere. And she gave me a writing prompt, and I wrote a short story for her. And she came back to me and said, both my husband and I cried when we read your short story, and I have a suggestion for you. I was like, yeah. She said, I think you should write a cozy mystery. To which I replied, what's a cozy mystery, and what do I know about plots? I've never written fiction. And she said, oh, Kathy, you can learn it. And she said, you can set it in England because you love England. I was like, okay. And you can have a cat and a dog. I was like, okay. And I said, well, I'm retired. I'll give it a try. And before I knew it, I wrote 12. Like,
It's amazing.
yeah, I still don't believe it.
So, so England, let's talk about that. Your Dickens and Christie series is set in the
Cotswold.
Cotswold. Okay. Yeah.
It's
like when you're a reader, I don't know if you do this, but I mispronounce so many things because I read it, but you're not saying it. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So,
exactly.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. So that's embarrassing because we have somebody from the UK on here. Diane Moore's visiting us. So,
okay. Welcome, Diane.
Yeah. So, anyway, so tell us about how you chose that as your setting. I guess that's what I was curious. What inspired you?
Okay. She should tell you. Yeah. I've always been a huge Anglophile, but I'd never been to England. And in 2018, we took my bucket list trip to England. My husband had been before. And we spent 3 weeks, and 1 week was in the Cotswolds, and that was my favorite spot. I mean, yes, I went to London the first few days and the last few days, but if you said you could only go back to one place, I'd go to the Cotswolds. So I chose to set it there. And the good news was, because I was writing columns for this little paper, I took lots of notes, everywhere we went. And by the way, we didn't drive. We took trains, and we had driving tours because my husband said he would not drive. Yeah. And I said, well, I would probably give it a try, but we'll either have an accident or a divorce or both. So, but the good news was when we took the driving tour in the Cotswolds, I could take notes, and I wasn't, like this, like I'm going to die any minute on the wrong side of the road. And so I had all those notes, and I learned so much, and it's all in the first book. I created a fictional village, but it's located between Burton on the Water and Cheltenham, which if you know anything about the Cotswolds, are, kind of grouped together. And J.M. Barrie, at the Peter Pan guy, actually summered in the Cotswolds. Oh. And not only did he, lease a mansion in the Cotswolds for the summer, but he invited his author friends. Well, all of that ends up somehow or other in my books. And I just had a blast doing a deep dive into all of that. I actually, think of my books as bookish mysteries, although that didn't come to me until later. But so the Cotswolds inspired it all. The cat and the dog that I had Puddin' at the time. I had another dog, inspired the personalities of the animals. And it was my idea to make them talking animals. I mean, they talk to Leta, but nobody else understands her doing anything but barking and meowing. They're quite talkative. And Leta, you said it right. Leta Parker is Greek, and she's known for her Greek salads, and and that's just part of who she is.
Yeah.
Good food, good wine, and good books. What more do you need?
Exactly. Well, Diane asked if Leta is based on you.
Yes, she's a lot like me, and not if you're one of my friends from whenever, you know that. And although I always say I think of her as the younger, more accomplished version of me. How's that? But I do make Greek salads. So.
Oh, that's good. That's good. Yeah. Well, let's talk about Leta. Okay. So she's an American widow who decides to start fresh in England, which is already a big life change. And then suddenly she's solving murders. So what do you love about writing her character? What do you love most about it?
I like that she and her friends like to read. So they talk about books. They get together a lot. She's got this cadre of female friends, and they're older. She and her best friend are probably the youngest ones. I think of being in your early 50s as young. Gets younger all the time. Yeah. And then one of the mothers is in the group, and she's like close to 80. And then another enters later on. We get another 80-year-old. But they're strong women. They can take care of themselves. They're witty. I just love that banter, and I love that they like to do things. They take yoga. They don't just sit. And I enjoy writing that. And most of me and most of my friends are that way. We took girls' trips, when we could, when we had time. We were always taking a girls' trip, and that's who they are. It's just I like to think there are a lot of women out there like that.
Yeah, or it gives women ideas of what they could do, because I think a lot of times we just need a little nudge, right, to do that.
Yeah.
Well, all right. So let's talk about the cozy mystery angle here. So one thing I really love about cozy mysteries is kind of that sense of community and comfort. So, and it's really surging in popularity right now. So do you have a thought on why you think this genre is so popular right now?
Absolutely. And I read lots of different things. Well, not all that different. Most of the things I read are set in Great Britain. I did say I was an Anglophile. That's my first choice. But I think they're comforting. Things get resolved. There's no blood and gore or anything like that in them. And it's that sense of community and friendship. And I've noticed even in myself, I read cozy mysteries, but they're not my primary reading. But I start a book now and go, this is just going to be too intense for me. And I think that's a sign. And maybe things are too intense for most of us. So it's a good, I have to say, because I read the Wall Street Journal when I worked, it was a bank. I read the Wall Street Journal headlines every day. So that's before Words with Friends. So I get all that. And then I just need to go write in my little world and read in my little world when I go to bed. And I read every night. So I think, what do you think, Lissa? Do you think?
Yeah, I think so too. I think it's such a great escape. And like you said, the stories are not gory, but they are not simple. Even though it feels comforting and anybody can enjoy it, usually there's twists and you got to try to figure it out, and it's a great escape. But there's always a happily ever after, or at least some type of resolution, which is so great. Yeah.
And I think I like them to be somewhat complex, but to know that, all of us, even in bad times, we have witty banter and we, can be humorous because that's how we live it. So that's what I really like.
Well, we've got a couple questions here from
Okay.
viewers here. So Valerie, she said she's listening from Utah, and she's wondering what your husband thought of Leta killing her husband in the first book.
Hey, Valerie, I know who this is. I met Valerie on a trip to England. He has never forgiven me for killing him off in the first chapter. And that's not a spoiler. It's in the blurb about the book that she's a widow, right? But she's remembering it in the first chapter of the book. And he's killed in a bicycle accident. And my husband was a huge cyclist back in the day. We both were. Okay. So, I always tell him, though, that it's wonderful because I get to say wonderful things about him in the book, and people like Henry. That's not his real name, but he said he's never forgiven me, and he thinks that that maybe he has a twin brother who should come into the picture or something. I'm like, not happening. Not happening.
We're going to base another character on him sometime down the road. Well, maybe. So Jenny posted a question here too. She said, what made you set it in the Cotswolds? Let's see here. Oh, she said you just answered that. Puddin wants to be in it. She says she's a Kiwi living in New Jersey. Oh, and it's your favorite. Oh, that's so nice, Jenny. Thank you. Thank you. Diane would like to be one of your beta readers.
Okay.
Yeah, as there are a few mistakes in English things. So I suppose that
I bet.
Yeah, so sure. All right. So is there a way for her? Well, she's been emailing you, it sounds like. Anyway. Okay. Maybe she was in touch with you via email. So
okay, that's good. Just let me know, Diane. Okay.
I did have. Go ahead.
I have a beta reader that's English, and she's pretty good about catching things, but she wasn't around for the earlier books. So
okay. All right.
So that would be good.
Good. So maybe you've got another one. So that'll be great.
That'd be great.
So let's see here. I've got some more questions. Let me see. Oh, yeah. So we were talking about this a little bit before we came on the screen, but are you a plotter or a pantser? And for people who don't know, plotters outline the whole story before they start writing. Pantsers kind of just dive in and discover kind of as they go. So tell us your technique.
Well, it's funny. I heard the expression plantser a while back, and I think I'm a little bit of both. I don't actually outline.
Okay.
Because, some people outline and they write out every scene like on note cards. I like to know who's going to do it, who's going to die, and how.
Yeah.
And I usually want to know the confrontation scene between Leta or one of her. It could be somebody, Wendy or somebody else that's in the confrontation scene with the villain.
Okay.
Yeah. And, how I start them varies, but that's not hard. And then I can dive in. And what I was saying to Lissa was somebody suggested a book to me, and it was called Writing into the Dark. And that works the best for me because your characters take you places.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes the villain changes because of the way the characters interact. And so I have to go back and do something different. That's a lot of fun.
Right. That's good. So you have a lot of books in this series. And so how do you keep the series fresh? Well, I love series that never end. Okay. I love that. So how do you keep the series fresh when you're writing kind of multiple mysteries in the same world?
Well, early on, for me, it was all about how Leta grieved and grew. She had to work through, her husband dying. And then, as you said, taking this big leap and going, I've always wanted to do this. I'm going to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think she grows in every book, and she learns new things about herself and how to cope and how strong she is. And that was important to me. But I felt like book 12, in my mind, there was always an arc in her growth that I was going to have to tie a bow around, or my readers would never forgive me. To make it fresh, they've traveled to different places. They live in the Cotswolds, but they've been to Cornwall on a yoga retreat. They've been to, where else have they been? She and Wendy spent the night in Oxford, and because I got to visit Oxford, so I had lots of notes on that too. And they went to Dartmouth, where Agatha Christie's summer home was on the Dart River. And so all of that stuff just, keeps it interesting to me.
That's great. That's fun. Okay, so let's say your readers were visiting your fictional village. Where should they go first? The pub, the tea shop, the bookshop? Where should they go first to get their what would you imagine?
Okay, well, let's see. I think the bookshop is a big part of Leta's world. Beatrix runs the bookshop. And if they're in the village, there's going to be a book club meeting once a month in the village. And while the book may not have something to do with the mystery, it's tied in some way. So like in the second book, Pumpkins, Paws, and Murder, there's a fall fete in the village. And in the book they read, which is a cozy mystery, there's also one of those. But then after that, it's, different.
Oops. Oh. I bet you she'll be right back. I think she might have hit something on her keyboard. So just hang tight here with us. So let's see here. I know we've got some more questions, and I want you to know that I'm going to get to those, but maybe I could ask you guys some questions and you could fill some things in. So, one of the things Kathy and I were talking about was, are you a dog person or a cat person? There she is. She's back. Let me get her back on. Here we go. There we go. So
I was busy waving my hands and tapped the screen. What can I tell you?
That's very fun. I said, I think she might have hung herself up here. So I was just asking them to put in the comments if they're a cat or a dog person, just for fun, because, we were talking about that early on. You have both. So, but that brings up a question, actually. So let's see here. Let me find it because it was really cute. Let's see here. Diane, do Dickens and Christie have your accent when they talk?
I hadn't thought about that. They probably do, because
Southern accent, or what would you
say?
say?
They were both raised in the South, so they probably have my accent. Okay. Now, there are audiobooks out there, and I hadn't really paid much attention to I like the way the narrator does them, but I haven't paid much attention to what accent they have.
I thought that was cute. Let's see here. What other shops? Again, Diane is asking, what other shops are on the high street?
There's a yoga shop, and that's where Leta and Wendy attend yoga at least once a week, sometimes more often. And there's a tea shop. And Toby is one of the peripheral characters. He owns the tea shop. And then there's a village green and a village, what do you call it, a community center. It's a smaller village, so there's not that much in it. In fact, I named it. I stayed in a little tiny village with no shops called Cold Aston, and it's very near Burton on the Water. But I wanted it to have a few shops so there'd be some activity. So that's what they have.
Well, that's great. Well, tell us what you're working on now.
Well, as I said, I felt like after 12 books, and they've been a lot of places and done a lot of things, I felt like Leta had completed an important emotional journey from the widowhood, the new start, and getting her grounding and making new friends. And so I've started a spinoff. It's still set in a cozy world. It's still set in England. And of course, Dickens and Christie are part of it. But it provides me an opportunity for Leta to have a new adventure and a different sleuthing dynamic, if you will, in this spinoff series. And I'm going to introduce some different, colorful characters. And I'm really having fun with it.
That's good.
So the first one will be out in September.
Okay. That's good. So it's a spinoff. It's a little bit of a spinoff.
Yeah.
Okay.
So there are Leta, of course, is in it, and there's some others, but I'm not going to give away. I don't want to spoil it for people who, haven't made their way through the first series. Not that you have to start the book, but, and, some of the other characters will put in appearances, but they won't be as big as they were. But since I never know where I'm going, that could change.
Okay. Well, let's see. Do you have any writing rituals that like coffee or tea or music or candles or anything you need to do to kind of get you in the groove?
I usually come up here with my second or third cup of coffee. I learned early on that I used to listen to music all day long, but I learned I cannot listen to music with words and write. So occasionally I ask Alexa to play like George Winston piano music or something like that. I can do that, but I really don't. I try to get out of my pajamas before I start. Oh, Alexa just heard me.
She's going to put on George Winston for you.
Yeah, she's going to get George Winston. She's amazing. Pudding left. Now we've got Alexa.
Is there any other country that you would ever set your books in?
I thought about it, and when I first started writing it, I was very intrigued that in the UK you could get pet passports, and you could take your dog and go to France or whatever. And I think they're still available, even though they're not part of the European Union anymore. Yeah. But, and so I thought about going to other places, and then I thought, I wasn't sure I was up for the language issues. I would go to France. I would probably take them to France if I went anywhere, because I have visited there a few times. But I didn't know how I would solve the whole language problem for me and that kind of research. I'd much rather research Golden Age mysteries and other books like I do to make them bookish in England than to learn about law. And, learning it's important to me to get the laws right and all that. So I don't see them going anywhere else. But again, you never know.
You never know. You never know. Well, it is a lot to research. Okay, let's see here. We got some more questions, so hold on a second.
Okay.
So let's see. Diane's a cat person, and her first cat, she wishes she got her first cat in October, and she wishes she could talk to her. Well, I think the trick is treats. It's treats.
Yeah, it's treats. I always say, don't we always think we know what they're saying? And Puddin' is a talker. She talks all the time, particularly when she wants food. But yeah, I just enjoy writing there. I enjoy writing Christie being sassy and things like Christie curling up in the desk drawer. If you could see me, I'm pulling out the desk drawer now. That's what Puddin' does. So,
Yeah. That's good. Let's see here. So Valerie says she loves the new audiobooks, and she reads all of your books before, and then she listens to the books. And it's interesting, the words that she says she didn't know the pronunciation, like Cotswold, like we were talking about. It's funny how that is. So thanks, Valerie.
Thank you, Valerie.
But she loves all animals. Let's see, Jenny. She says she enjoys reading about the Cotswolds villages, and the details are amazing, and that you bring back memories, and she's a fan of Christie.
Oh, okay. Even though she's sassy.
And Diane wants to know if you're going to keep the characters if you're going to still keep your old favorites for the characters.
Yes. Okay. Yes. Okay. And I'll tell you, for example, in book 1, Wendy is not physically present, but she is on the phone and texting. Because if you've read them, Wendy has to be in the middle of everything. So,
That's what she said. She loves Wendy. She loves Wendy and the little old ladies. So. And
the little old lady will always be part of the world. I'm sorry, I interrupted you, Lisa.
No. Diane just said, yes, we can still have pet passports. So.
Okay, good. Good.
Oh, let's see here. Here's another question. What made you have Etta drive a back cab? What is that? A back cab?
Leta. Oh, Leta drives a black cab.
Oh, Leta. Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's okay. I had read, I was researching. I was researching and trying to figure out what kind of car she would have.
Okay.
And she had, and one of Wendy's twin brother, who's like a foot taller than her, is a garage owner. And I discovered that they sell used, refurbished London cabs. And she liked it because it was low and Dickens could get in it easily. And, that was just something that made her unique.
Yeah, it's very unique. Well, all right. Well, this was really fun. I really enjoyed this, and I'm so happy that you were able to join us. Okay, so now I think the people that are with us tonight are already connected to you, but if there are people who are listening or listen in later, which we do get a lot of people that listen to this later, how can they be a part of your world? How can they stay in touch with you or get on your list, or what's the best way?
Well, I do have a Facebook page, Kathy Manos Penn, author, and I have a website. So this is really easy. Kathy Manos, I can't even say my own name, KathyManosPenn.com. And if you get to either one of those, you can sign up for my newsletter. And those of you who are on my newsletter know, I like to get to know people. So I just tell you what's going on in my life right now. Like I told Lisa at the beginning, my office is a total wreck because we're having the painters come in a couple of weeks and I'm packing things up and all that. And then a little bit about writing and just life like we all live.
Yeah.
So, but I'd love to hear from you. Love to see you pop up on the Facebook page, as I do Valerie and Jenny and Diane. I don't know if I see you on the Facebook page or not, but I'm sure you'll let me know.
Yeah, exactly. That's great.
Yeah.
Well, good. Well, just before I let everybody go, I just want to let you know that we're getting excited about our April crate that's going to be going out. It's the theme is Petals and Peril, where everything is blooming, including the body count. And so if that sounds fun to you, you can learn more about that at ReaderCrate.com. We've got some real special things in the crate this month. One of the things is a sweet little wood block piece of art that is painted by a gal. She's autistic, but it is so beautiful. And so I bought a bunch of those. And so it was a give back program. And so that's going to be in the crate, which is really fun. So if that sounds interesting to you, then you can find out more at readercrate.com, because we would love to have you join our cozy mystery community. All right. So let's see here. Kathy, thank you so much for joining us tonight. It's really been fun. And I know my readers are going to enjoy kind of getting to know you and learning about your series and the people that have started this. I think it's just wonderful. And thank you, everybody else who joined us tonight. And thanks for all the engagement. That was super fun.
Yeah. Thank you, Lisa. And thank y'all for the questions. That made it a lot of fun. So I appreciate that.
Yeah.
And I hope to see you guys.
Yeah. On the Facebook page. I'm going to go over there and make sure I'm pretty sure I'm on it, but I'll double check. So, well, everybody have a wonderful evening, and thanks for joining us, and happy reading.
Thank you. Bye-bye.